What is up, ladies and gents? Crews across the world. We are joined tonight with royalty. So I am excited. I am so excited to share some time with you guys tonight. Thank you guys for showing up. And I know you've smashed that like button. So we have a lot of goodies to give away. But we have the one and only Mr. Sheldon Bueckert in the house tonight, ladies and gents. We're going to be picking his brain. We're going to be talking about his artwork, talking about life, conventions, everything, you name it. Father's Day. But before we begin, I got a special clip to show you. We've been working hard, and I want to give a shout out to Rad Hulk Dad. So, something's eating the cookies.
I love that. I love it. It fits you so perfectly.
Thank you, gents. Thank you, gents. Well, before we get started, let me just see who's who's jumped into the live so far. Right now, I see Josh Noons was first. So happy to see my man Josh, who is AKA the landscaper extraordinaire. Rhode Island Comic Con, man. You guys better hit up Josh when you go up to Rhode Island. We got the one and only Creamer and Cash Comics in the house. We unfortunately couldn't have Creamer on tonight. She had to handle a situation with family, so we appreciate her coming in and supporting. We got Lawrence Australia, CFAP. Everybody smash that like button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're about to begin. All right. So before we jump into it, let me introduce who's on the panel formally. I'm going to start with Matt. Matt from Last Level Comics. How are you tonight? Could you go ahead and introduce yourself, sir?
I am doing awesome. Thank you so much for this opportunity to join tonight, Zans. I love it. I mean, the work that Sheldon's been doing, I know he's going to get into it and talk about it. I mean, you could just see some of it behind him. And I mean, that Something Killing the Children cover. Oh, God, how do you not want that in your collection? So I'm just excited to be here, pick this man's brain, hear about all the awesome things that he's working on and what the future holds.
All right, let's do this. Mr. Bueckert, just to kind of lay the the ground level of where we are, could you just tell the people who you are, just in case they're fresh jumping into this, like, what is this cookie show and who are these people?
Exactly. Well, Sheldon Bueckert. I run Shadow Puppet Studios. That's the name, but it's a one-man show. I am basically a longtime artist, getting my art degree way back in the late 80s. Went into the commercial printing company or industry. So I have a printing background as well. So graphic arts, printing, art, fine art, everything like that. I've only really been doing the comic covers now for officially about a year. And
Wow.
That came about mainly because of COVID. And when you think of it, I've been doing a ton of shows, doing a ton of art. And when the conventions all shut down, things kind of got a little tight there. And one of my great friends, I'm not sure if people know out there, Dawn McTagg. And Dawn McTagg, she's wonderful. She's a great person. Known her for many years. We actually do her printing at the shop that I work at.
Oh,
And,
wow.
Yeah. And so she's located in Calgary. She's done a lot of covers for Zenoscope, things like that.
I saw her on a Punchline, I believe.
Yes.
Recently. Yes.
That was a
Great
brilliant
work.
Yeah, she's done stuff for DC. Nothing for Marvel yet, but there's always hope. But she introduced me to my first retailer on about a year ago, Comic Kingdom of Canada.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, good
Spencer.
friends up north.
Yeah, Spencer, as soon as Dawn introduced me to Spencer, he kind of nabbed me up. So we've been working away for the past year on a number of different projects and comic companies and stuff like that, and it's been great since then.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
you touched on something right off the bat there. Um, the way to get comics these days has expanded, right? Um,
Transitions.
that's right.
transition, a better word, right? Paradigm shift. We're now in the age where, yes, we can walk into our LCS, but there are so many online LCSs and comic shops that
Right.
are producing exclusives.
I'm about to say they
Can,
bring that special niche, that niche thing that you just can't get when you walk into your
yes,
shop
That's
anymore.
right.
yes.
Yeah.
Sheldon, tell us a little bit about, I know you fell into it with Spencer, but what do you see with the online comic community and the online comic shops? How is that beneficial to the artists themselves?
Well, it's it's just to go back to when COVID hit and everybody panicked because they figured that a lot of the LCSs were going to close, and it's been amazing how many went online
Mhm.
to not just grab the customers from their local area, but national now. And it's great. What's that's done, and it was mind blowing when I heard and saw what some of these retailers were doing, and the quality and the comic brands that they were working with um, really astounded me. So, I mean, usually when you get into this industry, they throw you on to a little bit lesser known comic cover or company or something like that. So that's kind of where I started out with. My comics were, I did a couple of covers for Pharaoh's Lounge. Uh,
Yes.
yeah. So those were very successful right off the bat, which I was kind of shocked, having some of my first comics actually sell out. And, and then since then, I've been doing work for Image, Boom,
Hmm.
Vault, and upcoming here, Aftershock.
Fantastic, fantastic. Matt, what do you
So
have on your mind?
I gotta jump in. So I mean,
Okay.
all the labels that you've been working on, again, absolutely amazing artwork, stuff that we haven't seen before. Who or what is your favorite character to draw? Like, who is it? Who is it? Is it a she? Is it a he? Is there a certain line? I gotta
I,
know.
I've
Listen,
got a
before you even
few.
answer that, if you guys haven't seen his print of Captain America,
Okay. Let me
check
just
it out.
grab that.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
Yeah. Let me grab it. I'll
that
come
print,
prepared.
and I'm going to let me make your
look,
screen large. Look at this print. Ladies
And
and gents, the lines, the style of this, it kind of blew me away. I did not even notice this until I went onto this man's website to buy something that's killing the children, and I was like, "What are these?"
hmm
yeah, I've got on my website, there's a ton of work that I've been doing conventions for about 10 years now. And that Captain America was actually a happy accident. Um, I'll give you a story about that. My work, when I first started doing conventions, my work was very clean, very realistic. A lot of people would call it beautiful,
Mm,
customers coming by in conventions. Um, and when I was working on Captain America, he's a digital painting. And when I was working on this antique, I I made a mistake. So I did a swish, which kind of messed up the shield. And in a little bit of a fury, I kind of went, da, 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 right? And I mean, with my work, I call them little wisps. So, like off the shoulders, the shield where it's not perfect. And that was the first accident right there. A little swoosh and away we went.
oh my
And see,
gosh.
that's one of the best things that set you apart. You're not like, not every line has to be crisp,
No,
and
no,
it shows that vision of just kind of blurring him out, making him larger than life, like he's expanding, like he's gone through so much transition, and it
Yeah.
transitions flawlessly. So
A lot of people basically say that it looks like it gives it motion.
yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And if you notice with a lot of my work, one word that describes it is stoic. That firm, positive stance, ready to take action. And with these little wisps, it gives you that moment from standstill to action.
Yep.
And I try to keep those wisps along with pretty much everything that I do. It's kind of like a little bit of a trademark.
So I know I derailed Matt's question there because the minute he asked, all that I could think about was that Captain America. But who do you love to draw the best?
Well, it's funny because growing up, I was a huge Spider-Man fan. So I love Spider-Man. I've only done a few. I do love the Marvel characters. I've done many of those. I'll grab one of my Spider-Man.
Oh,
I'd love to
please
say I
do.
can't wait. And it's funny how many artists their inspiration started with the neighborhood-friendly Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well,
So classic.
I think that Spider-Man actually was my first comic when I was a kid, back in the mid '60s, right? So this one here, not I've got the wisps and everything like off the back to show action, but if you take a close look at it, it's got it's angular. There's not very many rounded edges when you take a look at some of that work.
And the
It's,
depth in his muscles contraction,
Yeah.
it almost looks like he's wet, like how the glimmer and how you highlighted, the contours of his suit, especially when it transitions from the red to the blue.
It's kind of a thing that I work with when I'm painting. I'm traditionally trained in oils and acrylics.
Nice.
And what I've done is about 10 years ago, being in the graphics industry, I actually taught myself how to digital paint. And so when I take an image, I'll, sketch it out, scan it in, and then work on it in Photoshop and my Cintiq. And I work with a ton of layers, and I have layers for shadows and I have layers for highlights. And that's where you actually get the depth of everything.
Well, you have
lines, the style, the lines. You have such a unique, artist view or artistic vision, and it's you can tell a Sheldon Bueckert piece of art already. Like you as people say, hey, I can tell a Peach Momoko, I can tell a Jim Lee, right? You have your art style now, and people are gravitating to that. That is fantastic. And again, we did not let you answer that, but I think you said Spider-Man, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah, definitely Spider-Man. One character that I'm dying to draw, and I've never drawn him, is Moon Knight. And I know Moon Knight is starting to come out, and I think my style would really lend itself to a real nice Moon Knight piece that's scrambling up here.
I'll tell you this right now. You have 19 people in the chat right now saying claim, buy, I need that. Where's the starting line? They are chomping at the bit to get a hold of your work. One character I would love to see you. So my favorite, I know Marvel's amazing. My favorites, I'm on the wrong side, is I can't even move backwards, is Mr. Freeze. I would love to see your inspiration on Mr. Freeze, because he's such an in-depth character.
He really is.
And again, the way that you put emotion into the artwork and the drawings that you do, just like, again, Spider-Man so determined with his web sling, Captain America standing there so stoic, like walking towards the fight, like that is something that not many artists can capture, let alone in the level of detail that you have.
Yeah, thank you.
So beautiful, my friend.
Yeah, and it's really hard to touch on a lot of stuff, because ever since, like, when you're at a convention, you're always given ideas from your fans coming by, right? And you try to keep up. And since the starting doing the comic covers, I've kind of left a lot of that aside, which I have to jump back onto because of the convention's starting up in September. But some of the characters that I've been working on for the comic covers, like I have a blast doing them.
All
They
right.
give
All
me a
right.
challenge, right? And
You've
I
now started on some amazing print and covers for that. Something is killing the children. You
right.
you just kind of triggered me as soon as you said.
Well, the thing with something is killing the children. Um, when we started working on number 16, I mean Hive Comics, we had intention of doing the whole story arc from 16 to 8, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I actually had come up with 5 actual concepts, but the 6th one was still in the back of my mind. I've actually picked the one for its first, and we were really going to do 3 more. But then, boom, studios had a change in policy. And so basically, their change of policy was that after 16, they were no longer allowing retailers to work on existing series, and that they were going to, if you wanted an exclusive, you had to start off with a brand new title and on number 1 only. So that kind of put a damper on what we were doing. So I had actually talked to my rep at Boom and asked her, do you have any problem with me putting the other concepts into art prints? And she said, not at all. So basically giving me, she's saying it's fan art, go for it. And I've been having fun with that. So since then, I've created 2 others in art prints. A third is on its way, and some of them are actually going to hit sketch covers. I'm going to do sketch covers too.
Oh,
So
conventions are going to be crazy.
I
Go
said,
ahead,
where can we find you come September? So literally everyone in the chat right now is like, where's the next place that we can see you, meet up, get our hands on some of that original art, and just see you in your moment?
Well, at the moment, a lot of this stuff is going to hit my website. So people who are not, because I'm based in Canada, so people who are not in Canada, we're not traveling to the States this year. But we're going to try to continue to keep the momentum going. My first show is for the Calgary Expo. And that is, they have just rescheduled that for September, the end of September. Right after that, I've got a very busy 3 weeks, 4 weeks there. So Calgary Expo, end of September. Beginning of October is the Edmonton Expo. And then I've got one in Prince George, BC, called the Northern Fan Con. And those are the 3 that I'm doing this year.
Nice.
Fantastic. Now, you touched on one of the ideas being right here, and that's a creative mindset there. What helps you? Well, first, where do you draw your inspiration from, and who inspired you ultimately to become an artist?
Inspiration is actually an ongoing thing. It could be something I'm looking at, something I'm watching, hearing in the background, something like that. Even taking a look at one of my older pieces going, hey, this could be expanded into something else.
Yes.
The wheels are always turning. They always have been turning since I was 16. So the inspiration part comes in way back in high school. I had a fantastic art teacher. And one of the projects that we had to do is emulate somebody that you admire as an artist. And back then it was Frazetta. So in here, I'm going to grab this. Okay.
Yes.
Hang on 2 seconds.
Every time we hear we're going to grab this, we're just shock and awe. You just want to get closer.
Look at his walls, ladies and gents. Look at these beauties. If you haven't, he had a couple of these signed on his website. You got to get there. We'll put up a link.
Yeah. So just to touch on that, what I have on the back wall here, these are the artist proofs. So I have regular proofs that are limited, and these are larger. These are the first pulls that I do. I don't know if other artists do this, but I actually get a certain amount printed so that I know what I'm sending off is accurate to my eye. And I have been actually quite blown away with the printing companies, how close they actually come to the original work. So, I'll jump back in. Okay, so don't know if you could see this.
There
Yes.
So this I did back in 1980, a long time ago. So this was my piece that I did in grade 11. I loved Frazetta's work, and my art teacher was very inspirational in encouraging me to continue on.
It looks like something straight out of Lord of the Rings meets D&D meets the Black Knight.
Well, when you think of it, I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with Frazetta, but he's been basically called the grandfather of fantasy art.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so when you take a look at the Lord of the Rings and everything like that, I've got, a ton of reference books from way back when, and they actually used a lot of the look and feel of Frazetta's work in the movies. Very close to it, the looks, the feels, even the characters. So, I mean, he was definitely ahead of his time. So,
Oh, wow.
when I started painting stuff like this way back in the 80s, I used to do paintings, pen and inks, all kinds of stuff, a lot of fantasy stuff. There was no call for it at the time. So, and back then there was no avenue to actually get it out to, nationally.
But doesn't it amaze you how secular we are now? How we're going back to that medieval time frame, that grittiness, those oil paints. Like, as much as we have transitioned into the digital technology, everything is done through an iPad, through Photoshop. But yet the things that really resonate with people are those oil paintings, those deep sketches, those heavy contrast items.
And what I've done when I taught myself how to digitally paint is, without being taught by somebody else, I keep my techniques that I use if I were to do oils or acrylics. Especially these days when you're doing a cover or even interiors, a lot of them are done digitally. There are still quite a few that will do it traditionally. One of my favorites right now is Lucio Perillo.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So he's a huge inspiration for me right now. Also,
his covers jump off the page at you.
They do. They do. And one thing that's kind of unfortunate, and it's a little bit of a pet peeve for me, is that I followed Lucio and I see his paintings and they're vibrant. And when they do go to a printing process, because they're traditional, they do lose a bit of that original look and feel and vibrance and everything like that. Because I've collected numerous covers of his with, dynamite and stuff like that. And I see a difference when he's working online to, what gets done. So, but with all of the covers that I've done to date, they are all digital paintings, and the colors just come out phenomenal.
Now, with regards to the art inspiration, do you also have the creative side to write? And do you foresee yourself putting together something, a full book or an idea of that nature?
It's kind of funny that you mention that, because years ago I came up with a concept for an actual book, but have not had the time to actually sit down and do it. I don't know if you want to hear about it.
We would love to hear about it.
Okay,
And
so
this is copyrighted, ladies and gents.
it actually is, because one of my pieces was printed in the Calgary Expo. They put together an artist book, and one of the pieces that I had done, which I don't have in front of me, is actually printed in that book. It's actually one of my first printed covers, if you believe it or not. But the book basically is a three-part series, because I put a lot of thought into it. It's called Prince 39.
Mm,
And you start off seeing, and I've taken a couple of courses as to how to present. So if you can basically take Duke Atreides meets Tarzan, okay, there's your 2-second little bit there. The story is about a prince that has been groomed on a planet that is completely technology taken over. There's not one bit of natural environment on that planet. And his grandfather, the characters, they actually have a long lifespan. So the reason why he's called Prince 39 is because he's the 39th prince. And his grandfather, who was a king at one time, during his time, there used to be a little bit of nature and everything like that. So when the father didn't have time for his son, the grandfather took over and taught him about nature and, animals and plant life and everything like that. The prince, his father is extremely strict, wants him to basically groom to be the king. And the prince doesn't want to, because he feels that there's something not right. There's something missing. Eventually, he runs into one of the maids that basically they don't have long life because they were not privileged to get it. And with everything that happens, he learns about the way people should be and not following rules and being, dictated to. So just
Sheldon, this is a movie.
Yeah,
This,
I'm about to
this
say you got to keep us in tune when this is happening.
I mean, I could see book and movie deal with this.
it could be a graphic novel too, but again, time. I'm not that great at interiors. I'd need somebody to do the interiors. But as the story progresses, he ends up going off-world, and that's the end of book 1. He ends up crash landing in book 2, a civilization planet that is medieval. They're knights. So to blend in, he becomes a knight, and he learns how to kill and everything like that. By the end of that book, he ends up having to escape that planet for some reasons, and he actually ends up on another planet which is almost primeval, kind of like Stone Age, where the alpha males of the tribe are like Tarzans and whatever. Because
so Savage Land.
Yeah. So because of his upbringing on the technology planet with the long life, he doesn't get sick. He heals fast, everything like that. He ends up on this planet. The knights from the second book end up tracking him down, and he has to have a fight to save the tribe that has brought him in. And so the way this whole thing transitions, you go from technology to medieval to primeval,
Wow.
you know. So
Talk about Time Warp.
copyrighted,
We're we're
Got-
we're
copyrighted.
Not
we're gonna need to see this brainchild come to fruition
Yeah.
because by by arc 2, I'm fully invested,
Yeah.
right? So
It's it's been at the back of my mind for years. I actually started writing it years ago. Lost those files, but everything's still fresh.
That's the best. So we got some great questions from the chat.
Sure,
Are you open for a little rapid fire here? Just we got two coming up.
absolutely.
So first, from Amber, do you get to choose the art style for an exclusive? Do you have complete creative control?
Yes and no. Um, so when a cover gets when I get a cover, a lot of times a retailer will have an idea in mind, or they want to do a homage cover, but it still ends up being my style in the end. That's one of my things that I have to make sure it happens, because I don't want to start doing artwork that is not my style. Um, so a lot of times, some retailers say, here's the storyline. And many times we will or will not get the information from the comic company. So a couple of the
interesting.
books that we've done, we've actually had to create the cover blind. But sometimes I'll get the full story before it even hits the shelf. So I'm kind of privileged that way. But to answer you, some of the retailers say, go for it. And some of the retailers will basically say, this is what I envision. And then we work on a number of sketches that we go back and forth. I love working with Spencer because many times it's like, you've nailed it. And we go straight to the finals. It's been very few times that we've actually had to go back and forth to tweak it to make it work better.
And ladies and gents, Spencer is from Comic Kingdom of Canada. If you haven't checked out their products, please go do so. Run, don't walk, because they have not only Sheldon Bueckert's art up there, but they have a lot of exclusives that you can only find on Comic Kingdom of Canada.
Absolutely.
So don't be afraid to shop overseas as well. That's the other thing that I'm noticing. You gotta
Yes.
shop. You gotta shop around.
And I'm telling you, you get different perspectives no matter where you go, whether it's the UK, whether it's Canada, and they all bring their own touch.
Yeah.
All right. So we got two more. So sci-fi or fantasy? Do you have a preference?
Both.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay, that's a great answer.
It sounded like your story that you created was actually a
both.
mashup of both.
Yeah, I mean, when people ask me, what are you a fan of? I say I'm a fan of everything. When I was growing up, Dad always had Star Trek on TV way back when. I hate to say about my age, but I seen the originals and not reruns. But going from that, I had always been a sci-fi person when I was a kid growing up until I hit high school. And with the introduction of Frazetta and a lot of those, fantasy arts, I went through a lot of spurts and changes and stuff like that. When I first started doing the conventions, it was a lot of fantasy work, dragons and wizards and female sorcerers and all that kind of stuff. And that changed actually rather quickly. I was at a convention up in Edmonton when somebody came by saying, I love your work. Where's your X-Men? And I kind of went,
It's like,
So,
yeah, I got to get
Give
into this.
me the opportunity to do some X-Men. I'll throw a Wolverine out there in my style,
yeah. Well, I do have Wolverine
I-
on the website. I don't have anything of him here, but I think the very first thing that I worked on was some of the Avengers. And,
Nice.
Captain America, Iron Man. We'll grab the Iron Man.
So
Uh-oh.
as he's grabbing that Iron Man, quick shout out, thank you to everyone in the chat right now. And again, Sans, they're all giving you praise on all your hard work at 250 likes, man. We wouldn't have been here today without you and without Sheldon being here. So just thank you from the chat.
We appreciate you guys so much.
So that's kind of the companion piece to the Iron Man.
Jeez.
Again, in there, I did a ton of angles and nothing really rounded. That was a lot of fun to work on too, to blend in the metallic of a suit to everything else, and trying to get the colors right. And I learned
shadows,
a lot.
the shadows, the lights and the darks on that just makes it almost look so lifelike. Oh my gosh.
You see the depth, the indefiniteness of the suit when you have the different layers.
Going from one to another.
The Merc with a mouth himself.
Exactly. I did him in a James Bond pose with his little unicorn as a keychain.
On the pinky. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Pinky's out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. This is awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
And when I was growing up, it was pretty much Spider-Man and Batman. So here's another one.
Oh, that is epic right there.
Now you see why I say if he could do a Mr. Freeze, like just how his artwork just jumps off the page.
Right.
That speaks to me on so many different levels.
Yeah. Good thing about that one, or a good story, is Kevin Conroy was at an Edmonton convention a couple of years ago, and I gave him one of these, and he signed one of them for me, and then he started showing me his artwork.
Yeah,
he's an artist.
He is amazing, and he loves to sign his stuff with like a slang line from the cartoon. And
yes,
absolutely.
I got his stuff right back there.
Yeah, love the guy.
Oh, that's gorgeous too. Let me
Wow.
So yeah, he is fantastic to meet. I had the privilege of interviewing him, asking him a couple quick questions at a Comic-Con. He was just so down to earth. So
he really
awesome.
is.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yep. So our next question comes from one of our very own in the community, the man of 1,000 voices, Adrian APM. Shout out to Adrian. He wants to know, what piece of advice would you offer someone trying to get into the comic book business and trying to get noticed out there, whether it be from the artist side, the writing side, trying to produce their own covers, whatever it may be? What piece of advice would you give someone trying to break in?
It's actually not that hard to actually answer that. First thing is you have to decide who you want to draw for. If you start off trying to draw for Marvel, DC, those two, unless they've noticed you, it's very hard to get into them. Unless there's a retailer that absolutely loves your work and will go back you and get you right in there to do a cover for Marvel or DC. The easiest, again, is to definitely go to the retailers, start showing their work, start showing your enthusiasm about doing your work, and that you're not going to be disappearing in a year. Once you find your retailers, and if you can get onto, I shouldn't say the easiest way to get onto a cover, but Image Comics is phenomenal to work with.
Wow.
Absolutely phenomenal. And the amount of leeway that they give you once you have a retailer that approaches them. So when a retailer approaches a comic company, they say, okay, I want to do a cover for this book. because they get all the advanced information. And then they say, I have this artist. And then they give some references, or if you're already in the database, that's easier. So my big break was on Department of Truth #1.
Was it now?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you knew that, but
That is huge.
yeah, it is. And that's, of course, who people who don't know, get rid of the glare. That was my cover W on Department of Truth #1. It shocked me. That was my first major company that I got to do anything for, and huge response to it too.
That was a sellout.
It was.
Yeah.
Now
Oh my
apparently,
gosh.
if you're lucky, you find a dinged copy. I'm actually going to be sending 5 primo minty copies to CGC signature here, probably within the week. And then I was actually lucky to get my hands on 10 more of them that are not so minty, that I'll
Right.
sign and probably put up on the website too.
It's awesome.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. But again, getting back to that, one, you find yourself a retailer that believes in you, and work hard for them. People who think that you're going to make your retirement fund in drawing comics, it's a huge eye opener, because you have to work with the retailer's budget, and the industry standards. And because we're not like, a Jim Lee, you probably will start off at the base level for being paid.
It's awesome.
Matt.
Lucian had one other good question. He said, and it's kind of it's hard because you've created your style. Your style is everything that you have put on paper, your blood, sweat, and tears. So if you could change anything about that style, what would you change? Or would you change it? I mean, you don't have to. I mean,
No.
your style sets you apart from everyone else.
I think my backgrounds need a lot more work in them. My style, some of the young artists getting in there, they hit their styles within their 20s. My style, I didn't hit until I was in my late 40s. So my style actually has come along within the last 10 years, because everything before was super realistic when I did my artwork. People liked it. They didn't buy it. I started loosening it up, leaving in brush strokes and, the wisps and everything like that. And it really now has become more artistic. I'm not creating video game graphics.
Right.
But to get back on that, my backgrounds do need a lot of work. Sometimes I struggle with the idea for the backgrounds, but it's coming along.
I think that's interesting, right? Because some people like that minimalist approach. Take an artist to contrast, like a Alan Qua, who's fills every page and is so in depth, and you love it. But then you take that Department of Truth #1, and it's just crisp, clean, beautiful, and they're both works of art, right? I look at these covers now. You're an artist. I look at these covers as works of art, pieces that will belong in my home gallery. And two of us new collectors and older collectors are.
Right.
Yep.
Did I freeze up?
You froze up for just one quick second.
That was Alan Qua's people saying, cut them off right now.
StreamYard won't hold you down.
Right.
So I usually
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I say I usually ask this question at the end because it's sometimes a difficult question. How do you determine when you're done with a piece? Like, what is the final touch? Like, when you've looked at it 1,000 times, you've walked away, you've come back. What is your pencils down, I'm ready for submission moment?
That's really tough. When it comes to comic covers, if I've got a tight deadline, that's when it's done. And sometimes you figure going, geez, if I could just have one more day. It's all basically something that you work with. I mean, again, I'm not a young artist, so I know in my younger days I used to overwork stuff to the
Right.
point where it becomes something that I didn't want to begin with. Um, the great thing about digital painting is you can back it up if you want
That's
to.
what I was just about to ask.
Right.
Having that digital uh, set now in place, you can actually go back like, oh, this rendition is much better than where I was going with it. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And then sometimes when you're what you think is at the end, and then all of a sudden it's like, geez, what if I play with the lighting and add highlights here or there just to give it an extra pop? And um, I'm still learning, but
Now,
it's
does
fun.
that lead you to a variation or a variant of your own cover sometimes?
A lot of times, no. Um, I really didn't start doing anything, any kind of variations until actually starting doing comic covers.
Mm.
So if you go to my website and you take a look at the gallery, those are all finished pieces that there's like one of. The only thing that I could think would be a variation is that Spider-Man that I showed you earlier. In that kind of same style, I've got a Miles Morales, I've got a Gwen Stacy, I've got Carnage, I've got Venom, all landscape just like that to give the collector something that they can purchase and hang a series on the wall. And many
Oh,
have come back showing me that they've framed them all and put them on their wall in their kitchen, their living room, you name it.
Yeah, it's
that's
amazing.
gorgeous. That's
Yeah.
gorgeous. We're coming up on our kind of final rundown of the show, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about maybe some of the new things that you may have in the hopper, or something you're extremely excited about coming down the line that these beautiful fans and friends of the community should know about.
I'm working on 2 covers right now that I can't really say until the retailer would give me the go ahead to do it.
Hmm.
I can say that I am working on my fourth Department of Truth.
Okay. Okay.
Nice.
So I'm doing cover for 13. So I've done 1, 10, 11, and 13 is coming up for Department of Truth. And I love working with those guys because like Martin Simmons, who does the interiors,
Yes.
I was blown away the other day when I found out he actually follows me because I follow him. And, I'll comment on his stuff and he actually responds. Um, I really like that. The guys on Radiant Black also,
Mm.
the artists,
And you had a
would,
huge outpouring in the chat of people saying that they're grabbing extra copies of that Radiant Black work. So
yeah. Um, I'm working on doing art prints and artist proofs on those too. I will be sending, and that's not on the website, but I will be sending Radiant Black and Noctera into CGC also as a signed series.
awesome.
But what I'm working on right now in between the covers that I can talk about is the artist proofs, um, the limited art prints that I've got, and those are all on the website too. I'll
Do you
be
have any
adding,
of those to show right now as well?
well, actually the 2 right behind me. So um,
Got it.
something
Let
is
me
killing the children, and Department of Truth 11 has not even made it to print yet.
the
Um,
biggie.
The
yeah,
Biggie
the Biggie,
Smalls. Yeah.
Biggie Smalls, and that one's also as artist proofs. Oh,
I know Sands and I were going back and forth about that Biggie Smalls cover, trying to make
Yes.
sure we were trying to go everywhere we could.
let's see if I can back out on that. So this,
Oh yeah, this is what I saw you working on, a series of these.
The yellow and the
yes.
blue one.
So this guy, unfortunately, is not going to make a cover, and this would have been on, I believe, number 17.
Wow.
So what I've done is I've made 3 color variations of this of the background
Yep.
to make them pop, and these are available on the site. Artist proofs also. One of the ones here, I'm going to put a shout out to this one because this one is not sold out. So this guy here is my Iron Maiden for Department of Truth number 10. Still available on the website at Comic Kingdom. And got to tell you, this one was just a blast to work on. All
Oh
the
my gosh.
detail. You take
Yes,
a
look
look
at
at
all
the
the little
Bigfoot in there.
detail.
Yeah. Even in the flame there, there's a skull. But yeah, this was a lot of work. Not a lot of work, a lot of fun.
And again, you could see your wisp style and each and everything,
Yeah.
like with her fading off the page, with him fading off the page, in the flames.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, this is like I said, it's art that has a story inside of it. It is just a piece of beautiful art. These Virgin covers have changed comics in so many ways.
They have.
But
you gotta put Ron's comment up there. Oh,
let-
you're showing off now on us, Sheldon.
now that Biggie, right? That Biggie, Sheldon. Do you have a hip hop inspiration? What made you present the Biggie Smalls cover? This was amazing.
Yeah, this one, brand new retailer that I'm working with in the UK, the comic book
Dealer?
Jordan Nye.
Yes, great guy. His idea, actually, he came to me and he said, I know this is not exactly what you do, but do you think you could pull it off? And I tell you, honestly, it could be one of my best pieces. The detail that's in there, the wording that's in there, the little newspaper clippings, it's all about the story of issue 10 and 11.
Wow.
Just little snippets in there. And I got my wisps, but then I also have kind of like a posterization look to it also. And it really, I was smiling when I finished that one.
Man, listen, like Matt said, when we saw the print or the cover, we were just blown away. Like, where is this? I started knocking on Sheldon's IG. Sheldon, where do I find this? What is going on?
Yeah, we got no warning. And I'm doing work right now for Jordan for some of his video creation. We're about to interview him coming up in the next couple of weeks, him and Ivan Teo. And I'm like, Jordan, what are you doing, man? You can't drop these bombs on me like this. I'm not ready.
So amazing, Sheldon.
We did not expect the first print to basically sell out in 8 minutes.
8 minutes. It was gone. It was
gone.
Up and gone.
And as soon as Jordan and I saw that, we were both floored. And Jordan came to me and said, "Damn, we got to do a trade dress."
Yes.
Can you do that? And I did a mock-up for him in probably like 20 minutes because I was hitting the ground running. And he said, yeah, let's see if we can get this approved. And Image was all over it, getting it approved probably within a couple of hours.
Yeah. He's he's new to the game. Jordan has really just gotten his feet wet, and he is booming over there in the UK.
Yeah,
that's where we go back to saying, like, don't be afraid to buy from these new shops. We got to support them just like we support our local LCS because they support the artists, and the artists like Sheldon. We needed that piece, Sheldon. That piece. Connects so much hip hop. Shout out to my good brother, Sixth Element of Hip Hop, because he talks about hip hop and comics and merging the two. And you just did such a beautiful job. It was so iconic to see Biggie next to the Lady in Red. Amazing.
Yeah, and it just flowed together. It was like it was meant to be.
100%.
So it was fun. I want to. You guys are going to let me do another shout out here?
No, please.
Absolutely.
The floor is yours. Yeah.
Okay. So not too many people know that I did a cover for Haha. And these are still available. So Hive Comics, And this is a little bit of creepy.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the first time I have seen that cover.
I haven't been on Hive. I got to go to Hive.
Yeah. They've got some great stuff there too, again. And this is a cover that we actually had very little bit to work on. We had just the snippet that they had on Preview World and a couple images of the actual lead character. So, I mean,
Look at that smoke in the background.
Oh,
Even
no, that
the
is
scout
so
sculpting.
creepy.
yeah, that's basically, I've got some hidden skulls in the smoke.
Oh yes, I can
Yeah.
see it now.
Yeah.
And then that, all that. I tried to go with the storyline, but then after I read the comic itself, it's a little off.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, it is.
So it's still creepy. I like it.
It's very creepy, but that's an amazing cover. Now, Sheldon, are people still able to connect with you to get signed copies of the Raw covers? I know at one point you were working with Ninja Dairy, and people were able to get some nice Raws.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and a good shout out to my buddy at Ninja Dairy there, because he's been a huge supporter of my work, and probably will be doing an exclusive one of these days. He's been busy with the newborn.
Yes, he did just have a new exclusive for Silver Coin, I believe.
Right.
So
Exactly.
shout out to Ninja Dairy, and guys, go pick up the Silver Coin.
That's a great cover. It's a really good cover for that series. I had a chance to get on that, but we were a little bit too late. So that's another thing that you have to really watch out for, is the deadlines.
Timing.
Image is really easy to work with. They work about a month out. Boom works 3 months out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you have to be on your toes with Boom.
That's quick.
So you won't even know some of the like he said. You sometimes you don't get a chance to read the script or the title before you have to do the artwork for it.
Right, and then that's when the imagination has to kick in.
So they're like, "Hey, we want you to create this guy who runs through tornadoes and rip buildings out the ground," and you're like, "Okay, I got an idea. Let me put this together."
Exactly.
So, Mr. Bueckert, we appreciate you so much for hanging out with us. This was fantastic. Round of applause for Mr. Bueckert.
Thank you.
Before we get out of here, I want to do something special for the 250 subscribers. So I have a few slabs. Let me show this.
A future state.
We have a future state Wonder Woman,
nice.
CGC 9.6. That's fellow artist Peach Momoko. We have a Batman Beyond number 50, signed and sketch remarked by Sean Chen. And we have a case of Funko sodas, various sodas, including like Jack Torrance and Duck Dodgers and others in here. So I'm going to allow my chat, my co-host, my panel members to help me out with questions here, but I will do the first one, and then we'll do this for the Funkos. So actually, no, we'll do this for the Peach Momoko slab. Ready? This will be the first one. We'll do a start line. Matt, would you be able to drop a starting line for us?
Of course, sir.
All right. So when the starting line comes in, here's the question, and it's related to Mr. Sheldon Bueckert.
Go ahead and you just ask the question. I'll drop it in as soon as you finish. I got it queued up.
Here we go. Who was Sheldon's inspiration in high school that got him started off in terms of his art style? 11th grade, he discovered.
Whoa. Don't give out too much. Don't give out too much.
They got to go back and watch.
Don't give out. Oh, we're Beta Ray Jim hit it. He was on top of it.
Ray. All right. Thank you so much. Now, actually, it was Frazetta.
You're gonna go for you said his teacher.
Oh,
You
I
said
was
you
saying
the
so
art teacher or
to
his school
clear up,
teacher?
it was the inspiration behind it, the artist, not teacher. So, Beta Ray, I'm gonna give you a consolation prize. You don't get this slab. Who do you see next? I believe it's for Zeta.
I got
It's
Gregory Smith.
Gregory Smith. Gregory Smith. All right. So, Greg, you are getting this bad boy. I should have put it in the private chat really quickly that I was going for Frazetta on that.
Okay.
Sorry, Beta Ray. You're my boy and all, and I would love to have given that to you, but I was going with Frazetta. All right. Matt, I can drop a starting line for you. Do you
All right.
have a question
Here
for?
we here we go. Let me think. I gotta think. How what he's touched on so much. Okay.
And this will be for
When
Sheldon's.
Sheldon was talking about his inspiration to depict a story coming up, he talked about a character that he would love to write a story about. Who was that character? What was he known as? He was a blank. Talked about that character, went off to a distant world in the future. Man, did I ask a tough one?
Oh, I think you got
I
a
mean, I
couple
was.
answers.
Oh, here we go. They're starting to come in. All right, who do you got first? I got two that came in right at the same time. So I got
Oh
conflicting
wait,
between StreamYard and I got conflicting
yeah,
between
wait.
YouTube. So what do you want to go with here?
I think we go with YouTube.
We got to go with YouTube. YouTube's live. So I got Beta Ray Jim first.
Yes, I agree. I see Beta Ray Jim on the top there.
So of course he had to fire back and become prepared for the second question.
Beta Ray, my friend, you got the Funko soda cans. You got a nice mixture of Duck Dodgers, Jack Torrance, a bunch of Funkos, my friend. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, my brother. Appreciate it. All right. Mr. Bueckert, we're going to turn it over to you with the last question. And this is going to give away the Batman Beyond, signed by Sean Chen and sketch remarked. So,
Okay,
Matt,
I'm
would
ready
you
for
mind
this.
putting the starting line in?
I got you.
And if you won, you can't win again. I'm sorry.
Okay, you guys ready?
We're ready.
What was possibly the very first comic book I picked up?
Oh, great one.
And this was when I was a kid. We're talking about like 6 years old. I mentioned it real quick. That's a tough one.
We got an answer already. Couple answers.
Let me see if YouTube matches
YouTube matches StreamYard.
Lisa Noble.
Lisa Noble.
It is Spider-Man. Is that correct?
It is right.
Hey, that is fantastic news. Lisa Noble, you are the winner of this beautiful Batman Beyond 50, signed and sketched by Sean Chen. From one artist to another, Sheldon just gave you a beautiful, beautiful Batman Beyond. Almost kind of reminds me of the design on your Batman you showed
Right,
there,
right.
Sheldon.
High Peaks.
Yes, yes. So thank you. I greatly appreciate you guys coming in, participating in the chat. You guys were awesome, asking questions, winning prizes. I really just want to thank all of you again in this great community, because without you, we wouldn't be able to do these YouTube shows. We wouldn't be able to have artists on, and the artists need your support. So make sure you go check out Shadow Puppet Comics and support Sheldon. He does amazing work, ladies and gents. Just look at his back wall, and if you haven't gotten some of these, please do that. Okay, Beta Ray, you got it, my brother. He is going to A-OK the pops to my good friend Lucian, who I have tons of stuff to ship to all the time anyway. So nice job, Beta Ray. Beta Ray is a pillar of our community.
Yes.
He just started his own show and he is rocking on Saturday nights, ladies and gents. But you
Yes.
can find him on with Strictly Comics on any given night.
The
Uh,
Mark Jeweler man himself.
Yes, Beta Ray the jeweler. So Sheldon, once again, I just want to thank you so much for hopping on with me and Matt. Shout out to Amber who couldn't be here, but you made this such an amazing night. And I want to thank everyone for coming in the chat. Big shout out to you, my good man Matt, for hanging out.
My
And
pleasure. My pleasure. Like I said, I
Yeah,
can't wait. We have so much more to come, Sheldon. And again, we hope to see you
you
back.
bet.
That's the best part. We want to see you in a couple months, and we want to see what you've turned around and what you've put out there. We want to make you a regular. Please, please come back and hang out with us.
Definitely will. It's been great. You guys have been great, and it's been an honor coming on the show.
Thank you.
thank you again. Oh, really quickly, Father's Day. Shout out to all you dads out there, Matt, Sheldon. I see you were wearing your blockbuster outfit that
Yep,
your son daughter may have given to you. So he's the last blockbuster
That's the
VHS.
last of the Mohicans right there.
that's right.
So I just want to give a shout out to my wife and son for getting me this, and I will.
Nice.
So they know I'm a big Dragon Ball fan, and there's a thing called Anime Fi Me, and and so this is me and my son. We're just having some fun on that. So shout out to all the dads. Happy belated Father's Day. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Good night. Good evening.
Good
Appreciate
night.
you.
Thank you.
Night.